Hiya crafters, Amy here with Amy's Wares, and today I have an ink blended encouragement card to share with you. Now this new stencil is called Eyes Have It. It is so cool and unique. It's part of the July release at A Colorful Life Designs. I have some lightweight gray cardstock, and I'm going to use this Juniper Mist color from Catherine Pooler to create this design. So it's just monochromatic, it's one single color, so I have my blending brush from the Rabbit Hole Designs, and here are a couple photos of the finished card. So I am so in love with this. This might be one of my favorite cards that I made for this month. I just think it's so unique and interesting. So I'm using my magnets on my glass mat here to hold down the panel of gray cardstock, and I'm just doing some very simple ink blending with this single color all over this card panel. So I'm going lighter handed in spots and heavier handed in others, just to give it a little bit of, I don't know, a little bit of a distressed look or a little bit of visual interest, but overall just the one single color and the very simple ink blending. And I'm just kind of bumping the magnets out of the way as I go. I'm obsessed with this glass mat, guys. It is a game changer for me. So I love not having to use pixie spray or tape to hold the stencil to my card panel. I'm able to just hold everything down and work directly on this work surface. So I'm just going to push those out of the way. And then I decided I want to make it a little bit darker in that spot, but there's my panel ready to go. Now, I have a bunch of pre-batched items. If you've watched my videos, you know I'm a batch and Betty. And I have 3 of these binders full of various different components. So this is my die cut one. So this is pre-made, ready to go die cuts. I have one for my sentiment strips, and I have one for my critters. So my critters are already stamped, or stamped and colored and die cut out and ready to go. Now here I'm just figuring out what I want to turn this card into. I tend to play things by ear. I don't plan things in advance, so I kind of just create for the sake of creating and enjoy the process and figure out as I go. So at this point I'm looking at different congratulation die cuts or birthday, and I wasn't really feeling any of those. Hello there. Some of those might have worked, but ultimately, as you saw, I'm really happy what I ended up choosing. And what I did choose was a little embossed square. This was white heat embossed on navy blue cardstock. And right here, this is what I chose. So this is a set from Simon Says Stamp. If it's still available, I will link it below, but it is so cool. So it's one stamp. It's like a big chunky stamp. It's got a bunch of little sentiments and then one coordinating die that cuts it all out at once. So I had white heat emboss on that navy blue cardstock, which matched perfectly, and then I had die cut, and then I had all those little components that I could file away for future use. Now this die is one of my favorites. It's from LDRS Creative, which is a small woman-owned business in Michigan, and it's one of my favorite stitched edge rectangle dies. It's really unique and pretty, and it's going to cut the panel down slightly smaller than A2 size. So you can see what I'm going to do here, just to give it a little bit of pizzazz, is I'm going to liquid glue the frame that I cut off of the panel down directly onto this card base. That is a 120-pound accent opaque cardstock that I used for the base, and that's US A2 size, which is 4¼ inches by 5½. And I'm just going to carefully put this down so that goes around the very edge of the card base like a border. Now I'm going to pop up the center portion of the panel just to give it some dimension and visual interest and make a otherwise very simple design a little bit more special. So this is a fun way if you have an A2 size panel and you want to use the whole thing, but you want to use some decorative edge dies or something like that. Now here I'm going a step further. This is how I'm going to pop it up. This is an adhesive backed foam. I get this from Amazon, and I'll link something comparable below, but I just kind of grabbed a color that sort of matched, and it's that light, kind of very light blue or light teal. And I'm going to use this score tape or tear tape just to adhere this down to the front of this foam panel, which is cut exactly the same size. I use the same die, so it's going to fit perfectly behind it. I'm going to use this to attach it to that, and then there's adhesive already on the back of the foam, so it makes it like a big Fatty McGee sticker, basically. So I'm going to remove this score tape after I struggle for like 8 years to get this off, and then I'm going to attach the whole thing together, and then I'll basically just wiggle that right back into place into the opening on the card base. So when you look at it from the side, you'll see that nice little subtle pop of color, which gives it some interest, but it also is nice even coverage, which I wanted to do in this case because that wasn't really a very thick cardstock that I used. That was just an inexpensive gray cardstock. It's probably only 65 pounds or something like that. So if I would have had any little gaps in between foam tape, then it might have gotten a little wrinkly when I sent it through the mail. So this is a way to kind of protect it and give it nice even dimension all the way across the panel. And then, like I said, you see that nice little pop of light blue when you turn it to the side. So now I'm going to use some foam tape just to add this little square for some additional dimension on the center of the card. And then I will take that additional little sentiment and put that on the inside. And it says, "You got this." So it's a nice little encouragement card. Sure to brighten somebody's day if they get this in the mail. But really, it wasn't complicated. And especially with having a lot of the components ready to go and just having to ink blend the one panel, it really came together super quickly. So I'm going to put this on the center of the card. I think I realized it was a little bit off at that point. I want to make sure it's straight, so I have this little, I don't remember what this is called. It's like a little add-on you can get for the MISTI. It's something to help you kind of line things up or go off the edge of the MISTI. And I ended up just grabbing my T-square here just to make sure that I was nice and straight, because it's a pretty simple design, so you want to make sure you get it right and don't have it. Look, it's totally stuck to my finger. It was fusing with my finger. This is like the strongest foam tape ever from scrapbook.com. So just struggling a little bit to make sure this is nice and straight. I think at this point I was like, that's higher than I wanted it, so I think I took it off yet again. I can't remember. Yep, I did. I was not happy with it there, so carefully pulled it up again. Thankfully didn't rip the cardstock, and then got it down a little bit lower on the card. So after my struggle bus adventure here, I did finally get it down and got the little sub-sentiment on the inside of the card. And yeah, there, I'm finally happy with where that is. And I'm going to put some blingage on the front of the card just to give it some visual interest as well. But I'm going to use some liquid glue to put this down on the inside, which is nice because it's that same navy cardstock with a white embossing, so it matches the sentiment on the front. And the navy cardstock matches the Juniper Mist ink almost perfectly. So very simple design, but I feel like this could work for anyone, male or female. So here I have these little resin droplets that I'm obsessed with lately. And I'm going to put a little smattering of those down. They look like water droplets, so it's so fun. And again, I'll use that same Bearly Arts liquid glue and put that in odd numbers, kind of on either side of the sentiment at a diagonal. And that's going to finish the design. So super easy, came together pretty quickly, but it does have, the extra little special touches with the adhesive foam sheet underneath and the little bit of dimension from the sentiment. And of course the resin droplets, blingage gives it a little something too. So really happy with how it turned out. I hope you like it too. If you did, please hit the thumbs up and consider subscribing. I'll link everything that I use that's available in the video description box below. And be sure to check out the rest of the July release at A Colorful Life Designs. It's so awesome this month. So thanks so much for spending time with me, and I'll catch you next time. Bye.